year ago, I was just starting out my property journey. To go from zero to making this pretty much passively, it's crazy.
What sort of profit are you making in your property business per month?
So my rent-to-rent side, making about 9 to 10 grand profit a month. The deal sourcing, 9k a month.
Didn't you bit off more than you could chew in an area that you weren't familiar with? You didn't have the experience. Now I bet you could take that same property on and actually make it profitable.
It might cost me 3 grand to make this place look nice. It might cost someone else 10, 15 grand. I wrote a goal down and I was like, by the end of the year, I want to be making 4 grand passive income. I've doubled that.
Adam Lowe, thanks so much for coming on Winners on a Wednesday.
Cheers, mate.
We've been working together now for a year or two.
Yeah, just over a year.
Yeah, and become super close. And it's been great seeing your journey and seeing you, absolutely crush it on the business side of things. So talk to me about how you got into property, because your background is carpentry, right?
Yeah.
So how did you kind of transition into property, and what was it that gave you that thirst and hunger for property?
Well, for starters, I always wanted to be in property since I was young. My family have never been into property, but I always kind of just had this idea in my head that this is the kind of route that I wanted to go down. Obviously, since leaving school, I've always done, carpentry, been in the building game, and I've been working on, multi-million-pound houses. So I've seen, what property can give you in life. Yeah, that's kind of just where I really wanted to go, really. And also I know that if I was to get into property myself, I could kind of link my building skills with the property as well.
Yeah. You know what? A lot of people that are in construction, it's just like there's always a bit of an appetite. I want to do this myself one day. But most people will just save up money. And then when they're in their 40s, they'll buy their first investment. Yeah. And then before you know it, they're in their 50s and 60s and they're still working. I mean, what sort of profit are you making in your property business per month?
Split between the two. So my rent-to-rent side, we're probably making about 9 grand profit a month, but 9 to 10 grand profit a month. And then the deal sourcing, we're selling, I'd say on average about 3 deals a month. Yeah. Some months are higher than others, but on average probably about 3, so about 9k a month on deal sourcing.
Cool. So it's like close to 20 grand profit.
Yeah.
That's amazing though.
Yeah.
That must feel surreal.
It's crazy because literally a year ago, I was just starting out my property journey and I didn't really know anything about property at all. Yeah. So to go from zero to, making this pretty much passively, it's crazy.
And how old are you?
26.
So you're young. I mean, not many 26-year-olds didn't go to university.
No, I didn't go to university.
Straight from a construction background to making 20 grand a month for property. How does it feel? Does it feel surreal yet, or does it kind of sunk in? Or
it hasn't sunk in. At the moment, I'm not even taking a wage from the property side of things. So most of my income is still coming from my building side. So you're living off of your day job? Yeah.
And then you're reinvesting all the profits?
So whatever money comes in from the property side is just getting reinvested.
Makes sense.
We're saving up for bigger deals in the pipeline.
Yeah. And you got this little block of apartments that you're in negotiations with.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, so it's a partner of mine. It's a family member. So we've put in an informal offer to buy a house and basically to convert her house into 2 flats. And she's got quite a big plot of land that surrounds her house. So we're looking to build 4 flats on it. We've met up with the architect. He's got good things about it. He says, it's likely that you'll get accepted on planning for this because there's other flats around the area. But yeah, hopefully by summer.
And that will probably be financed, I imagine, through your rent-to-rent deal sourcing, or will you pull investors in?
No, we'd pull in investors as well. A lot of our rent-to-rent deals, we actually get private finance. So a lot of people from the academy, actually. Mm-hmm. So what we would tend to do is we would ask for, for example, 5 grand for a 10% return. Right. And a lot of people are actually open to doing that.
Why would they invest in one of your deals and get 10% return when they could do something themselves? What's the advantage? Do you teach them and bring them in on the deal, or are they just happy to just sit back, do nothing and make 10% passive?
Yeah, a lot of the investors that we work with, they're still very fresh to the game. So they would like to see, they're basically investing into us and we're showing them basically how it goes from start to finish.
So they get to see it, be part of it, almost like learning from investing.
Yeah, exactly that.
Makes sense.
If they ever need a hand or any advice or things like that, then, we're always on the other end of the phone for them.
Yeah. So when did you get your first rent-to-rent and how did it come about?
First rent-to-rent came in February 2022.
What, 2 years ago?
Sorry, 2023.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Not that long ago.
No, yeah.
So now it's February 2024.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
February 2023, our first SA, it's one of my partner's colleagues who owns this property. He found out what we was doing, and his property was up for rental, and we obviously made an offer, told him what we was going to do to it, and everything like that, and we've still got it now, and he's happy, we're happy, and
it's a great way to get into the game, to find someone that you actually know has got a property, because I think that your first property is always your hardest, generally.
100%.
When you've got one and you can use it as a case study, then you can approach agents and you can approach landlords that you don't know, cold people. And you say, look, I've got this property here. Here's what we do with it. Here's how it works. So that came from somebody like a bit of a mutual friend.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it was kind of handed to us. But previous to that, we was on the phone for 4 months straight, making calls, just getting no's all the time. We got a few yeses to go and do viewings. We go and do the viewing, and then they changed their minds. It came to us at a very good time, because within those 4 months prior to that, we're still learning. But once we actually took it on and we got into the nitty gritty of it,
you were ready.
It was like a light bulb moment. Yeah.
Why do you think you were getting so many no's? Were you not confident, or were you saying the slight wrong thing, or what was going wrong?
I think confidence was a huge factor of it. I mean, before I joined the academy, I never really used to make calls or sales calls or anything like that, because, from the building, I work with my hands.
Yeah.
So I remember when I first done your live training, the rent to rent one, you was like, all right, everyone go out and make some calls. When you come back for lunch, I want to, hear what was happening. I found some leads, and I see everyone else making calls, and I typed in a number, and I was so nervous, and I was just staring at my phone for about 10 minutes, just trying to make a call to this landlord. In the end, I pressed the call button, phoned him and said, oh, hi, I'm looking to do a company let. He was like, no, not interested. Go away, you're wasting my time. And I was like...
Ouch.
Yeah. And I was just like, what am I doing?
Yeah. But then you tried for 4 months after, or you'd been...
No, so after that, I kept trying.
You just kept getting rejected.
I kept trying, I kept getting no's. But what I was doing, because I created a script... But then every time I'd get a no, I'd think, okay, maybe my script's wrong. I'll tweak my script, tweak my script. Now I'll get on the phone to a landlord, just pick up the phone, talk to him, and it's fine.
Do you think that it's just tough when you get started, or do you think that you were a bit unlucky, or what happened?
I'd say a little bit of both. It is tough. Like, nothing in life worth having comes easy, It's just changing, what you're used to learning something completely new. Obviously,
I'd love to hear a recording of that first phone call, bro. I bet you were terrible.
Yeah, I was. I remember I even sat in my car and done it.
So no one could hear.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want anyone to hear what I'm about to say.
You knew it was going to be bad.
Yeah.
But it's the same as anything, though, isn't it? Like, I know we've been sparring a lot, doing a lot of boxing. And I watched my first sparring session, and it was around January, February 2023. So around about the same sort of time you joined the academy. And I was like, what was I doing?
Yeah.
I looked terrible. And it's like, you don't realise how bad you are. But at the time, I was like, yeah, man, I'm doing good. But I think it's the same with making calls to get deals. If you've not done it before, you're going to be rubbish.
Yeah, 100%.
And if you're rubbish and unconfident, and you don't even believe in yourself, and you don't know what you're doing, then of course landlords are going to not feel comfortable going ahead with the business.
No, 100%. And it's not until you actually look back and you realise, I've actually done quite well over this past year, and I've actually improved quite a bit.
Yeah. So your first deal was for someone that you knew. Were you nervous taking that on? Did you feel like scared?
Yes, I was scared, because obviously for this first deal, we actually used our own money, and, to put an investment in that we've never invested in property in our life.
Yeah.
So it was like, what happens if we don't get any bookings? Or
how much did you have to put in?
Initially, we put in 2,500. No deposit. The rent was 1,600, so that was first month, and then 900 on furnishings.
Did it work out?
It's probably one of my best properties I've got going at the moment.
How much profit does that one property make?
Over Christmas, that made £2,300 net profit.
Jeez.
And it's a studio.
What about like in a bad month, like January?
£1,200.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Really interesting. So that must have given you confidence when that went live, and then it's like, I know what I'm doing. I've got it systemized.
Yeah. I mean, you say that property right there was like a little golden nugget, After that, we was like, we're going to get loads of properties. And 2 months after that, we took on 5 rent-to-SAs in Bradford and another one in East London. That's where we kind of thought, these Bradford ones ain't for us.
I remember that.
Yeah.
They were horrible, weren't they?
Yeah.
A lot of people want to hear the failures as well as the successes. We could sit here all day and talk about how you're making 20 grand a month and isn't it amazing? But I really want to spend some time talking about some of the crap deals that you took on and the problems.
Yeah.
So talk me through what happened in Bradford.
So Bradford's, bearing in mind, I've never been up to Bradford in my life. It kind of, we JV'd on this with Tutu and Geo. And it came about as, so basically someone was, they wasn't selling it as a deal, but they were trying to get rid of it. They'd already managed it. They showed us all their figures, showed us what they were earning, things like that. So we thought, oh, you know what, this is quite a good deal. We done our due diligence on it. We thought it was a fantastic deal. So we decided to take it on. We had it for about 3 months. So when we took it on, for the first 2 months, we was making good money. And then all of a sudden, we got a call from the council. And the council had basically said that the landlords hadn't applied for planning permission to turn it into 5 one-bedroom flats. It was originally 2 houses. Mm-hmm. So the council were on our ass for it. After we said this to the landlords, he tried to deny it. It just went really downhill for us. So we decided to get out of it.
But there were other problems as well, weren't there, with that problem? Because I remember at the Accelerated Coaching Performance Program when you spent 2 days at my house and we were going through all your finances and looking at, you had this one little gem, which was your property, which was almost having to subsidise.
Yeah, it was paying. Yeah.
Bradford.
Yeah.
So why was Bradford losing money? Just because of the planning issue? Because I can see why that's a pain and it's hassle, but why was it losing money?
It was losing money because, we wasn't able to get all the rooms filled out.
Yeah.
All the time. So some months we'd have, 3 rooms fully occupied and 2 would be empty. But obviously where we was quite new to this sort of strategy, taking on 5 in one building, we didn't realise what could happen and what the pros and cons really were.
Right. Have you gone on to do blocks or have you just gone off it?
Nah. I probably will in the future, but...
So you bit off more than you could chew in an area that you weren't familiar with.
Yeah.
It was far away from you. You didn't have the experience.
I didn't know the area at all.
And I remember, and I might be wrong, but you were very reliant on people. Like, you didn't know anything. I was like, when did you last go? I haven't been.
No.
Oh, you've never been? Okay. But you just didn't have a clue what was happening with it. And I think that was your experience. Bear in mind, you were brand new to the game.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, it's a whole different story. Now, I bet you could take that same property on and actually make it profitable.
I probably could. Yeah. It was a great lesson learned. I wouldn't say, I've had bad deals, but there's not any deal that I regret because I wouldn't have learned from it.
Did you end up losing money over the Bradford or did it wash its face?
Yeah, we end up losing about 2 grand.
Okay. So it's not the end of the world.
No.
It's like a training course. You paid 2 grand, you learn a load of stuff.
Yeah.
It didn't work out, but now you've gone on to be where you're at,
Yeah.
What were the lessons from Bradford?
Don't invest in the area you don't really know nothing about.
Right.
And like you said before, don't bite off more than you can chew. Just because you've got one deal and it's going really well, don't think, oh yeah, I'm going to take 5 on now.
Did you doubt the entire rent-to-rent business model? Did you think maybe I've just got lucky off of this one property, maybe this doesn't work, maybe I should quit?
I always knew it would work, especially after getting my first and seeing everyone else in the academy, succeeding from their rent-to-rent deals. I always knew it would work, but it was just finding my time of when it would work. Obviously, that first one was working great.
Yeah.
Then, the second one, not so great. But then after that, we've had great deals.
What about if the Bradford deal had been your very first? What about if you'd have paid somebody a sourcing fee that have got you these 5 properties in Bradford, you're really excited, and then it tanks, loses money, nightmare. Could that have scarred you for life and you still be still be a full-time carpenter with no properties?
Yeah, it would have scarred me for life. But I think I would have kept going.
Yeah.
But the second one would have been, something a bit more close to home, a bit more cheaper rent. Something a bit more, suitable.
So, and the thing is as well with properties is some will perform, some will overperform, and some will underperform.
Yeah.
And even if you do all the right things, there's always going to be some properties in your portfolio that might not perform as well as others. That's just kind of the nature of investing.
Yeah. 100%.
All right, so what happened after that then? So once you got rid of your Bradford deals, was it a relief? Did you feel like,
it was a big weight off our shoulders. So after we got out of Bradford's, obviously we went from technically having 6 SAs, so we was back down to 1 now. We started thinking, we need to get some more deals closer to home. So that's when we started investing into Surrey. We took on SAs in Epsom, Kingston, another one in Chelsea, Hampton Court. And since then, they've just been killing it.
I'm so glad to hear that. Do you remember what happened at ACPP? Because I'm pretty sure at that program, that was where you were in that slight predicament and
Yeah.
just getting rid of your Bradford deals.
Yeah, I remember you going there and obviously explaining my stories, and you just said, look, you just need to, forget about Bradfords. That's past now, but just get on with it and keep expanding, keep moving forwards.
Because you can't flog a dead horse, can you?
No.
Sometimes if you're spending 80% of your time focusing on a bad deal, it's like, you know what, just cut that bad deal.
Yeah.
So rebuilding that portfolio then, how are you finding landlords now? Your first one, you got lucky because it landed on your lap. The second one was a disaster. What systems have you found now to actually find these deals and build? Where are you finding them?
So we like to try and find them direct to vendor. They're easy to negotiate. A lot of the time what we offer is, say for example, the rent is 1,500. We will say, look, we will actually give you pretty much a full refurb or a very high spec refurb if you can reduce that rate by maybe a few £100 or, 400 or 500 quid.
Yeah.
And that seems to have worked. Obviously, being from the building background, I kind of use them skills to, do these refurbs at a very cheap rate.
Yeah.
Whereas, it might cost me £3,000 to make this place look nice, but it might cost someone else 10, 15 grand. That's kind of what we do.
And that's a big pull for the landlord.
Yeah, 100%. That's how we've got most of our recent properties.
What about upfront rent, deposits, all that stuff?
Yeah, we still pay deposits and upfront rent. If we're doing a refurb, we normally ask for a grace period. For example, we took one on in Kingston. We asked for a 7-day grace, which he gave us. And then as soon as we picked up the keys, me and my partner, we was there 7 days in a row, from about 7 a.m. in the morning till about 2 o'clock in the morning, grafting, getting this place done.
Yeah. That's quite generous though. The fact that you're giving a deposit, just a week's grace period to not pay rent where you're refurbishing the property and you're refurbing the landlord's property.
Yeah.
How much rent then? To talk me through as a case study, talk me through one of these latest rent to rents that you've done.
I'll talk you through this Kingston one, for example. Right. So the original rental price was 1,500. I negotiated it down to 1,200.
Good.
We spent, I think it was £2,000 on a refurb and £1,200 on furnishings.
Yeah. So
that's, 3-2 in. And then literally after our 7 days grace, we had it on the market, and then we've been probably about 85-90% occupancy.
Solid.
We made £2,000 profit last month on that one.
Solid.
And that's a 1-bedroom flat.
What do you find works better, houses or flats?
Flats. I've only ever dealt with flats. I haven't dealt with houses as of yet, mainly because the areas that we're going in, house prices and house rental prices are, quite extortionate.
Yeah.
So I feel like for me, flats work better, less maintenance as well.
When you're contacting the landlords then, what are you saying? Because there's a lot of resistance to rents.
Yeah.
Because landlords, maybe they might hear one horror story of someone that did it bad, didn't get the right training, didn't do it properly, and then as a result. But the thing that gets me is some landlords or some agents will go, oh, there was a bad experience with a company let rent to rent, therefore we won't do it anymore. But what about all the bad experiences you have with tenants?
Tenants, yeah.
You're just going to go, oh, we rented to a family and it didn't go well. We don't rent to families anymore. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You just need to vet the family, make sure that you learn from it. And in the same way, with a company let, there are some people that do it wrong and there are some people that mess up and don't pay the landlord rent and end up having to get evicted.
Yeah.
But there are also some people that do it really well and have correct contracts, do it properly. Yeah. So how do you differentiate yourself when you're speaking to landlords from the wannabe trier that's going to just be a time waster and mess everybody around versus we're professionals, we know what we're doing. How do you portray that and get that across?
First of all, I'd say it's all about trust and obviously giving landlord that extra bit of security. A lot of time when I'm speaking to our landlords, I actually like to meet them face to face, go for a coffee. I think sometimes when you speak to a landlord over the phone, they like to put a face to a voice. Yeah. And also when you meet them and you go for coffee, it gives you that bit of a personal touch. Yeah. And then from there you can say, look, if they've had a bad experience, you can basically say, we've got X amount of properties. This is, if you want to speak to other landlords that we've dealt with in the past, things like that, just to give them that bit of assurance. Makes sense. What do you say on the initial call then? Because you have to get a coffee with them, you have to get coffee with them. Yeah. So you're calling them cold. You found them on... So I'd find them, for example, on Open Rent about, hi, just come across your property on Open Rent. I just wonder if it's still available. They'd say, yeah. I'd say, look, I'm interested in booking a viewing. They'd say, great, what's your situation? And I'd say, look, I've got an accommodation company. We basically rent our properties to professionals, a lot of international relocators, and then basically go on to saying that, we can cover maintenance. If it needs a refurb, we're happy to provide a refurb, and so on. And then from there, they would either say, I'm not interested, or, I'm actually, that sounds quite good, especially with the refurb. And then from there, I'd say, look, do you want to meet up for a coffee?
And then you'll take for a coffee, and then the rest is history.
Yeah, pretty much.
Do you think that now, when you're ringing landlords, you're really confident in your services?
Yeah.
And because you're sold, it's easy to sell the service.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe when you were starting out, you were kind of thinking, "Oh, I'm not really sure what I'm doing, and I don't know." So you weren't sold.
I think it was just where I didn't really, when I first started, I didn't really know what to say and how to handle these objections. But obviously, as time's
Can
gone
I
on,
hit some objections at you and see what you would say?
Yeah,
So
sure.
to put you on the spot right now, but
Yeah.
all right. So I'll be the landlord.
Yeah.
So sorry. So who's actually going to be living in the property?
So it wouldn't be myself. It's actually going to be my company that's going to be renting it from you. We accommodate, contractors, professionals, and a lot of international relocators.
Okay. Yeah. And what's your company called?
A company's called A Plus Properties. We've been trading for just over a year now. We've taken on 13 properties in the past year, and we're forever expanding our portfolio.
All right. It sounds interesting. I'm not sure though. I mean, I was thinking just to rent it to a family, so I'm not really sure. I've heard some, bad experiences about company lets and.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say all companies are great. You can get bad experiences with companies, but you can also get bad experiences with tenants. That's why with a company, we have no tenant rights. So, if we, for example, don't pay your rent, you can pretty much take back your property straight away.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds interesting. Would you be able to have references?
Yeah, I can provide you with references from other landlords and agents that we've dealt with. I can provide you with personal guarantors, if that's something you're open to.
Okay, yeah. Well, yeah, all right. So what did you want to do?
How about we meet up for a coffee on Saturday? Are you free at 9 o'clock?
Yeah, 9 o'clock can do. So do you not actually book a viewing then?
I would book a viewing and also go for a coffee.
Interesting. So you don't just ring up and say, hey, I want to book a viewing.
It depends, because some landlords will say, oh, actually, can we just meet at the property? Or, let's meet up first and then go from there.
And then what do you say then when you have so let's say you do a viewing and you have a coffee. Let's say you look around the property, it's an apartment. What are you looking for? What are you wanting to see in that property? To know, how do you determine if it's going to work as a good rent to rent or not?
First of all, it's location. And also, whenever I go into a property, I look to see, if I'm doing a refurb, I look to see, what needs doing, how much is it going to cost me? If I know it's going to cost me quite a bit of money, then I probably wouldn't go for it.
Yeah, if it's going to cost you 5-10 grand, if it's going to be a couple grand, maybe 1 or 2 grand, then great.
Yeah, but a lot of time from photos, I can pretty much
So
estimate.
location and condition, fine. What else are you looking at? What are the key things you're looking to see if this could work? Because surely you can't just rent any apartment in the entire country and it would work brilliantly as a rent to rent. It has to fit a criteria.
It's got to have a demand,
Right.
You got to know who your property is going to be for, who you kind of target.
Right. So you're going to be thinking, okay, is this going to be contractors, relocators, tourists? You're going to do research. You're going to go on maybe property intel, AirDNA, the different sites.
Yeah.
Work out how much potential revenue this could bring in.
Yeah.
What the running costs will be.
Yeah.
How much the landlord wants, and ultimately what you can offer.
Yeah, pretty much. And like I said, obviously, you got to try and find out who your target audience is. And obviously, when I first started, in my head, I just thought, it's only tourists that stay in Airbnb, really.
Yeah. A lot of people think that.
Yeah. But when you actually start, having your own Airbnbs, you actually realise that, it's not really tourists that are staying there. A lot of them are professionals and a lot of them are relocators.
Yeah.
I very rarely have tourists in mine.
Yeah, that's so true. So what is a relocator?
A relocator would be if someone's just purchased a house and there's a chain and they need somewhere temporary to live for, an X amount of months. Means you can provide it to them because, they can't rent it from an estate agent for less than 6 months. So that's where we can kind of bridge the gap.
And the good thing about relocators is often they'll stay for quite a long time, won't they? They're going to stay for a few weeks, or a few weeks can even drag on a bit, and it can be a couple of months.
Especially if they've got, for example, a build going on a new property and the build's going over.
Yeah. So you're charging a nightly amount, they're paying you, you're paying the landlord, and you're just keeping the profit.
Yeah, minus cleaning fees and things like that, but...
Yeah. And how much profit after cleaning fees and everything would you say is average for one of your rent-to-rents?
Probably about £1,000.
about £1,000 profit.
Yeah.
And you're also selling deals as well. You're finding rent to rents for other academy members.
Yeah.
And you're introducing them as a package deal and you're selling them.
Yeah.
How much do you sell a deal for on average?
$3,000 on average for a deal.
And you're selling about, did you say a few a month?
Yeah, I'd sell about three deals a month on average. Obviously, some months are higher than more. Some months we might sell 5 or 6 deals, and some deals we might sell 2 deals. So.
How do you find the time to be selling deals, to be running your own properties, and you're still working full time?
Yeah, still working full time on my roofing and carpentry business.
And is that your business?
Yeah, that's my business. Yeah.
Nice.
Learning what I've learned from the academy, I've kind of put it into my building business as well.
Okay. So how do you mean?
Just, running things properly, getting things systemized, making sure, you're on top with, your admin and working out your figures and things like that.
Yeah. And I guess as well, a lot of what you learn on the academy is basic business, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's business structure, hiring staff, systemizing things.
It also changes your mindset and just your outlook on life, I believe, or for me anyway.
When did you join the academy?
I joined the academy October 2022.
How did you get the money to do it?
I actually got a loan from the bank.
So you got the loan. Were you scared?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a big deal, bro. Yeah. Getting a loan to pay for education where if it doesn't work, you've got nothing. It's a big investment.
Yeah, 100%.
How did you justify that investment?
It actually took me... So I came to the crash course. I then paid, I think it was $2,000 to do the rent to rent training. And then after that, it took me about 3 days after finishing the live training to think, I'm going to join the academy.
Yeah.
Because I thought, I've done the rent to rent training, but, you got to be in the room with people. You need that help.
The mentoring.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And the network.
Yeah, the network's crazy.
Has it been a good investment? Are you glad you did it?
It's probably been the best investment I've ever made in my life.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. What's been the highlight then for you of the last 12 months?
The highlight for me is just seeing yourself go from literally 0 to 100. At the start of the year, I wasn't making nothing in property, and I wrote a goal down. And I was like, you know what? By the end of the year, I want to be making $4,000 passive income. I've doubled that, and it's just crazy to think. And sometimes I've just got to pinch myself and look back and be like, this is actually real.
Yeah. What are the key things, would you say, the key lessons that you've learned that you'd pass on to somebody that was just getting started?
Just go for it, Don't be scared to take the risk, because you never know what could happen. Money will always return. So if you're scared to make that first initial investment, you just need to go for it. And, you can potentially make it really big if you put the work in. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what happened when you joined the academy, because we started the academy boxing. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so that was great fun. It was just nice to obviously, do business as well as box, especially like with you and the other academy members.
We sparred many times, bro.
Yeah.
We used to have a really good spar, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
And then obviously I had my fight with Rob Moore.
Yeah,
and then Rob Moore, some of his team and crew and key members and that wanted to fight you and the team.
Yeah.
So you fought one of his guys, and what happened?
Got the W as expected.
Yeah.
But no, that was a fantastic night, and obviously, just the training in general, and at the end of the day, it was keeping me on top of things. It was keeping me focused. It was keeping me focused on business, my training. It was just, it was great.
Good night that was. 2,000 people there.
Yeah.
That was an epic night.
Yeah.
So what's next then for you? So what's the plan then over the next 12 months? This last 12 months, you've been doing deal sourcing, rent to rents. You've built up a nice portfolio. What's the plan moving forward?
So say for 2024 is, to keep expanding the service accommodation business. But as well as that, we're looking at potentially taking on a development deal. So that's what we're looking at doing. Maybe jump into the BRR game. With my skills, I think that'd be a really good strategy for me.
Absolutely.
But it's just, taking things step by step. I don't want to take on too many things at once.
Yeah. What would be your final words of advice and wisdom for people listening that want to kind of do what you've done, starting out, no experience, not loads and loads of money, just start putting into deposits and stuff? What would you say would be the key steps you'd say to people starting out?
For people starting out, I would say, if you're watching this video, just sign up to his £1 crash course.
Where it starts.
Go from there, and you could be sitting in this chair next year.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, dude, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much for coming down to come and win us on a Wednesday. If you want to come and join me at the £1 Property Investors Crash Course, I will leave a link in the description. It's literally £1. Spend a day with me and the team. No catch. Link in description. Be there, and I'll see you guys next time.